The 2026 FIFA World Cup has turned the eyes of the football world toward North America. For the next month, this is where the game's biggest stories will be written. And in one of Group B's opening matches, host nation Canada takes the field. Their opponent, Bosnia and Herzegovina. At first glance, this may not look like one of the tournament's biggest headline fixtures, but World Cups are not always defined by favorites. Sometimes they are defined by stories. And the story that begins in Toronto could shape the entire Group B campaign. One side is trying to build its future. The other is carrying the weight of its past. One side represents a new football nation rising on home soil. The other arrives with history, experience, and a legendary captain. For Canada, this match means far more than 3 points. It is the beginning of a home World Cup. The fans in Toronto have been waiting years for this moment. For the first time in World Cup history, the Canadian men's national team will play a World Cup match on home soil. And the magnitude of that moment can already be felt before a ball has even been
Canada
kicked.
has become one of the fastest rising football nations in the world. Not long ago, simply qualifying for a World Cup was considered a major achievement. Today, expectations are very different. Under Jesse Marsh, Canada is no longer here just to participate. They are here to compete. The 2022 World Cup was a painful learning experience. 3 matches, 3 defeats, 0 points. But it was also the first major test for this generation.
That same generation is older, more experienced, and far more ambitious. Canada's objective is simple: win the ball, accelerate immediately, attack before the opponent can organize, use the width of the pitch, attack the space behind the defense, and keep the tempo as high as possible. And once again, much of the country's attention is focused on Alphonso Davies, the symbol of modern Canadian football. Canada's biggest star is part of the squad. But there are still questions about how much he will be able to contribute in the opening match. And that remains one of the biggest uncertainties surrounding Canada's start to the tournament. Alphonso Davies may be the face of Canadian football, but Jonathan David is the player expected to deliver. After years of quietly scoring goals across Europe, he now arrives on the biggest stage of his career. Because some players become stars at club level, the World Cup is where legends are made. Tajon Buchanan has grown into a more complete player. Steven Eustachio has emerged as one of the leaders of this Canadian side. Together, they form the core of a generation that believes it can compete with Bosnia and Herzegovina arrives with a very different story. This team has not only qualified for the World Cup, it has also reconnected with an important part of its football identity. And at the center of that story stands Edin Džeko, the man who led Bosnia and Herzegovina to its first World Cup in 2014. A striker who spent years at the highest level of European football. Manchester City, Roma, Inter, and now one more appearance on football's biggest stage. And perhaps one final World Cup. One final grand stage. One of his final walks in the national team. But Bosnia's story is not only about Džeko. Ermedin Demirovic has emerged as one of the most exciting attacking players in Bosnian football. Fast, hard-working, clinical. Bosnia may be playing Džeko's final tournament, but it may also be witnessing the beginning of the Demirovic era. So what should we expect on the pitch? Canada is expected to play with a high-tempo structure focused on transition. Bosnia is expected to be more compact, more physical, and more disciplined. Each team wants a completely different game. This brings us to the hidden battle of the match. The battle for tempo. Canada wants speed. Bosnia wants control. Canada wants open spaces. Bosnia wants physical duels. Whoever controls the rhythm may control the match. Another key factor will be set pieces. Canada is athletic, but Bosnia possesses genuine aerial threats. Džeko, Kolasinac, and several other physically imposing players. If the game slows down, every corner and free kick becomes dangerous. For Canada, the first goal may be especially important, because when Canada leads, opponents are forced to take more risks.
That creates more space for players like Jonathan David and Buchanan. But if Bosnia scores first, the entire story changes. Excitement inside the stadium can quickly become pressure, and Bosnia could find itself playing exactly the type of match it wants.
Another important factor will be the managers and their in-game adjustments. Canada has options capable of increasing the tempo in the later stages. Bosnia has players who can make the match even more physical. As a result, the final 30 minutes could become the most important period of the game.
The probabilities are relatively close, because this match is likely to be decided by tempo rather than pure quality. If Canada succeeds in making the game fast, Canada can win. If Bosnia succeeds in slowing it down, everything changes.
So, Canada enters the match as a slight favorite, home advantage, a younger squad, a higher tempo style, and more attacking explosiveness. My probabilities are Canada win 44%, draw 30%, Bosnia and Herzegovina win 26%.
Most likely score lines:
Canada 2-1 Bosnia and Herzegovina, Canada 1-1 Bosnia and Herzegovina, Canada 1-0 Bosnia and Herzegovina. The surprise scenario would be an early Bosnian goal from a set piece, allowing them to drag the game entirely into their preferred rhythm.
Canada enters this match as the faster, more energetic, and more dynamic side. Bosnia and Herzegovina enters as the more experienced, more physical, and more patient side. World Cup matches are sometimes won by tactics, and sometimes by stories. Canada wants to begin a new story in front of its home crowd. Bosnia wants to give its captain one more unforgettable chapter. That is why my final prediction is Canada 2-1 Bosnia and Herzegovina.
But in the end, this match comes down to one question. Can Canada's new generation handle the pressure of a home World Cup? Or will Edin Džeko place himself at the center of the story one more time on the biggest stage? So who gives the first answer in Toronto? Canada? Or the final great chapter of Edin Džeko? Let me know your prediction in the comments.